everyone, welcome to our gala show. Today we have in studio fantastic musician, Berkeley graduate. I can call him my friend. And what is a great, about this man? He is the Man of the Year 2016, town of Chelmsford, Massachusetts. We have a wonderful guest, David Dubinsky. And I'm your host, Galina Kuptsova, and my husband, Sergey Kuptsova. Hi, Dave. Hi, how are you?
How are you, Galina?
Thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a long trip.
It was a long trip, but it was an easy trip. There wasn't much traffic.
Tell us a little bit about what is it Man of the Year, because we cannot hear too often, the musicians can become the Man of the Year.
Yes, recognized. Yeah. It's probably honor for many musicians.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a surprise, a pleasant surprise, but it was really a surprise. I'm on a board of trustees for the community in which we live. I'm also a town representative for the town of Chelmsford. And as a Marine veteran, I perform taps and hymns for deceased Marine veterans and members of all branches of the service in and around, I would say, north of Boston and southern New Hampshire is pretty much my range. I belong to a national organization. I receive email invitations, and I'm happy to do that. And the editor of the Chelmsford News took note of that without me knowing about it, and bestowed this honor on me, and I'm proud of it, but it was a shock.
That's great. That's great. And we congratulate you with this.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
That's just wonderful. Can you tell me, you're not a young man. Can I say that?
I am not a young man.
But for so many years, we are so pleased to say, for so many years, you're keeping to be faithful to big band music. How long you playing music? Tell us.
I started playing the trumpet at the age of 10, so I'm just about at 60 years with the horn, with the trumpet and the flugelhorn. Yeah. And I was very fortunate. I started out as a classical trumpet player, and when I got into high school, our band...
Where it was?
In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Our band director was formerly with the Jackie Gleason Orchestra as an extraordinary trumpet player. And we wound up having the best jazz band out of 20 high schools in the city of Philadelphia. We were on WHYY TV, the NPR station, and that really inspired me to get more involved in jazz than I was prior to high school. And I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I auditioned for the Commandant's Zone in Washington, D.C. I served for 3 years, played under Lyndon Johnson as president. My last performance was with that group at Richard Nixon's inaugural ball, at which Tony Bennett was the featured vocalist. And it was just an amazing... Doc Severinsen and the Tonight Show band, the NBC Orchestra, was the dance band for that evening, and I still have the program wrapped in plastic as a memorial to a memoriam to that event. It was really terrific. And then after the Marine Corps, I enrolled at Berkeley. I met some great people. I was fortunate enough to get into Herb Pomeroy's recording jazz band, which was called the Concert Jazz Orchestra. We called it the Recording Band because we made a recording every year of student compositions. And I played alongside some really incredible musicians that are far better than I am, believe me. I just saw Larry Pyatt, who's a tremendous trumpet player. He does a lot of show work around the greater Boston area. He was playing at the North Shore Music Theater. Spamalot, I highly suggest you see. If you like Monty Python, go see Spamalot wherever it's playing. It's a funny, funny show. Keith O'Quinn, trombone, Tony Latta, trombone. These are phenomenal players. Tony, I think, is retired from Berklee as head of the trombone department. Keith O'Quinn is playing on Broadway. He's been playing for years.
Yeah.
Tony Klatka, tremendous trumpet player, played with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he's playing. He continues to play all over the place. Just fantastic. Billy Pierce, tenor saxophone. He's the head of the saxophone department at Berklee. He was the tenor player while I was in the trumpet section. So I played second trumpet next to Larry in my junior year. I played lead trumpet in my senior year.
That's great.
My good friend Dave Dannenberg, who passed away about 10 years ago, a lifelong friend from Philadelphia. He played with the Woody Herman band before he came back to Berklee. He was at Berklee for one or 2 years, and then he went on the road with Woody and came back, and that's when I met him in his junior and senior years, and we became very good friends. So that whole evolution in my musical experience took me into music education, and I continued to play with a variety of different bands. And I play in small groups. At this point, I would say the last 5 to 10 years, I've been playing with the Adagio Big Band, the Adagio Light, which is a small group within
within the
big
big band.
band.
It's usually a quartet or a quintet with a vocalist or two. The big band plays a lot of Sinatra music and music by Michael Bublé. And Rico Barr and the Jump and Jive Review is a very local Boston, Metro Boston band. We're going to be playing with on February the 10th for Ron Delachiese's annual birthday party.
You're busy.
There's a lot going on.
Great.
There's a gentleman by the name of Andre Smith, who is a transplant from New Orleans. When Katrina destroyed a good portion of New Orleans, his home was destroyed. And he had some connections on the North Shore of Massachusetts, around the Gloucester area. And he was invited to come up, and they provided a home for him. And he's a wonderful vocalist and showman. And I've been fortunate enough to perform with him. I just had a couple of gigs with him the last couple of months. And he does the New Orleans thing. And one of the members of his band that I enjoy playing with is a gentleman by the name of Amedee Castanel, who is a wonderful alto, tenor, and flute player, also from New Orleans. And last night I performed with Laura Smith, who is, the thread is amazing. Laura Smith grew up with Andre Smith. They're not related. They're both from New Orleans. She is from Lowell, Massachusetts, and I've become a regular participant whenever she has a gig. We did a restaurant gig last night in Lowell. It was a fun time. Packed house, and the people really loved it.
But it's still how the Bostonians, receive the, this kind of New Orleans. It's different flavor.
Yeah.
It's so good. The people love it in
Well,
our area.
they love it.
They love it?
And the jazz wears so many different hats. You can't pigeonhole jazz and put it into one particular category. Jazz represents improvisational music. Any kind of improvisational music. Blues is a form of jazz. In fact, jazz evolved out of the basic blues form.
Great.
I've been, you've asked me about my background. My wife and I go on what's called the Jazz Cruise. It's a charter jazz cruise every year at the end of January. This will be our 5th or 6th year going. And I've had the pleasure of playing with John Pizzarelli's rhythm section, the Arturo Sandoval rhythm section.
Great.
The Emmett Cohen, he's an emerging piano player. He's an excellent piano player, graduated from the University of Miami. And I actually had, I got to know Arturo Sandoval, had a lesson with him on the ship. He spent over an hour with me, invited me to spend some more time with him the next day, but unfortunately I wound up getting bronchitis, and I called his stateroom and I said, Arturo, you do not want to get close to me tomorrow. So, but we've kept in touch, and he sent me some books and I sent him some jazz duet books that I had that he didn't have.
I would like to a little bit come back to the Berkeley education.
Okay, sure.
Because, you know, when you just, you know, you told us, it was a very kind of success for the young men to play around. So why are you going to Berkeley? Because, you know, sometimes when you have a success, oh, forget it. How it's important to have a school? How it's important to have education?
Excellent question. So there I was at South Philadelphia High School, having the influence of Richard Castilian, Mr. C, as we called him, who was this great trumpet player in his own right, having played with the Jackie Gleason Orchestra. And I became very much enamored with jazz. And after the Marine Corps, I now had my parents didn't have very much money. So after high school, I really couldn't go to college.
I see.
I spent, I think, 1 year at Temple University as a science major, and it wasn't my bag. And my brother has a PhD. He's retired, and he's a neuropharmacologist, now retired. He has the science head. I had the music head, which at that time I was just beginning to understand. So after the Marine Corps, I now had the GI Bill, and I could go to any college I wanted at no cost to me. So the financial piece was not an issue. So I had this burning love for music, and now I had the ability to go anywhere I wanted. And Berkeley was then and remains the preeminent jazz school, and now they've expanded into all forms of musical genres. They just formed a relationship, a partnership with Boston Conservatory, and now going forward it's Berklee College of Music, Boston Conservatory. They have a new relationship with Harvard University and MIT, where
and they're spreading all over the world.
All over the world,
their
you know,
tentacles,
the classes,
they have a master's degree program in Valencia, Spain. And I'm, as an alumni, my wife and I have contributed, basically paying back for in a sense of gratitude, or out of a sense of gratitude to Berkeley. So we contribute what we can to future students and their education. Education is critically important. It's been part of my parents' tradition with my brother and I, and when I was an educator, I would explain to my students how important education was, no matter what their interest was. Learn as much as you possibly can about what it is that's burning a fire within you, and you will be successful.
Thank God we came over this 80s and 90s electronics booms, and we're coming back to the horns again, you know. And I love horns. I love big bands, and the big bands especially, that's just about horns, you know. But I always have a question. There was tough times in 80s, late 80s, 90s, where the electronic stuff was just overloaded everywhere. And only horn guys who play horns kept the traditions, the kind of the good styles, and the music itself, which is even now, if you are not gonna see much on TV, the big bands or something, you know, but if people playing outside on streets, some events, there's so many people coming.
Yeah, attractive, the more
listening.
attractive.
They're listening. That's a kind of part of education process. And there is always a good music connected to the musician who play horns. I'm not kind of making differences, but you know, if we're talking about big bands, it's about horns. And my question is, actually two, who are your friends? your friends. And how, guys, you keeping this going? Because there is not much money you can make on it right now, but the music still goes strong.
Yeah.
Who are your friends, and how it goes in between you to keeping this music going?
Well, you're absolutely correct. As far as why horn players have kept the big band thing going, there's something about playing an acoustic instrument, even an acoustic guitar versus an electric guitar, an acoustic piano versus an electric keyboard. Yeah. There's something, I may not be able in this interview to really put my finger on it really hard, but your ability to transfer, excuse me, to transfer what is in your heart in terms of the emotion that's associated with the music that you're playing, that you're about to play through your instrument. You know, when I think about the trumpet is basically a hunk of brass. And you insert a metal mouthpiece, and you put this mouthpiece up against your lips, and you can't just blow.
And magic happens.
You have to buzz your lips. Yeah. You buzz your lips, and all of a sudden a sound is created. And you go from creating that initial sound to all of a sudden, when you listen to the greatest players, when I listen to an Arturo Sandoval, when I listen to a Wynton Marsalis, when you hear the greatest players being able to create a sound out of a hunk of brass that is warm, that is genuine, that is lyrical, that has such a beautiful quality of sound associated to it, I think that in itself creates a kinship to other wind players,
yes.
Whether they're saxophone players or trombone players or trumpet players. We all understand that inherently we're taking some kind of an object, a metal or a combination metal, plastic, felt object, and we're somehow bringing that inanimate object to life and being able to make a human connection between what we're doing that we love so much and the audience and the people that are listening to the music that we play. There's a trumpet player that I play with in the Adagio band. His name is Russ Ryan, who's a wonderfully gifted jazz player. There's a saxophone player that I primarily play with the Rico Bar Band, named Doug Leifer, who's working on his PhD in engineering as we speak, and teaches engineering at the college level within the University of Massachusetts system, who plays one of the warmest tenor saxophones that I've ever heard. It's that, I believe, to answer your question, why do we keep this up? You know, I'm going to be 70 years old, and I've been playing for decades.
What makes you?
It's that love of the music, love of the instrument, and love of the ability to pull from within yourself deepest emotions of excitement, of love, of despair, whatever the emotion, whatever the song or the tune is trying to relate, that the composer or the arranger has put together. That's what we as musicians try to do.
Dave, I would like to ask you, what's your schedule today, you know, for the David Dubinsky? What do you dream? Because I know how long we live, you know, we still dream it. Because what's your goal? Because when you wake up in the morning, you make your plan, you know, just what are you doing today daily?
I'm going to tell you what I do every morning when I wake up. And I thank my brother, my dear brother, who I love so dearly, for planting this seed in me. When I retired about 8 years ago, I said to my brother, I said, I said, Barry, what do you do every day? I said, I know pretty much what I'm going to do because I love music and we have our animals, and I'll take care of the house. But, you know, what do you do? He said, well, the first thing I do when I wake up and I look around and I say, okay, I'm still alive. And I walk into the bathroom and I look into the mirror. And if I recognize the person that I see in the mirror, now I'm feeling really good. And then I ask the person in the mirror, who are you? And if I can say, Dave Dubinsky, I'm going to have a wonderful day. So that's how I start my day.
Yeah.
And, you know, my day is basically what I said. You know, part of my day is music. Part of my day is taking care of our...
Tell to youngsters, you still practice every day.
Every day, yeah. Every day.
That's
to
part of
youngsters.
life. Yeah.
And in the car on the way here and the way back,
That's
I'm buzzing my lips and, you know,
Because you
keeping
still
the
have a
hour.
chance to improve yourself. You
Sure.
absolutely, yeah.
You never... Perfection is something we all seek in whatever endeavor
Yes.
we pursue.
Yes.
But
Yes.
perfection is unattainable,
Yes.
That's right.
in my opinion.
Yes.
Even the great masters, I think if you speak with them,
Yes.
they would say humbly and truthfully.
Absolutely.
That's what, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are trumpet players that play circles around me. I am probably a B to a B plus trumpet player. There are A trumpet players that are playing, you know, with the best bands in the world and the best orchestras in the world. They're on TV. They're on
Everywhere,
They're in
yeah.
movies. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. But we strive. We do it because we love it, and we do
Yes.
it because the basic fundamental concept is to just constantly try to improve yourself.
Tell me a little bit more. Do you have some records?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Rico Bar Band has recorded 3 CDs. They're available on iTunes. They're available on
CD Baby or something?
CD Baby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
CD Baby. Yeah. iTunes and CD Baby, pretty much. I think I sent something to you
Yes, I got it,
from
yeah,
one of
yeah,
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking that people can find, you know, some,
Sure.
Yes,
some
the
Sure.
some of the
material to
music.
listen.
But I still want to know, because I know you're going to celebrate your 70s. So what's your dream? Because you still have a dream. What's your dream?
You know, it's it may be a shock to you, but when I was younger, I had bigger dreams. My dream is just to stay healthy,
Yes.
keep playing, because I love it so much. I love my wife so much. I want to be around
Yeah.
to age to my 100th birthday,
Yeah.
and I hope that she's with me. I know her goal is to be a 100-year-old woman as well. Just to enjoy life and basically suck the life out of life itself.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Do you know, we prepared something special for you for your birthday. Mazel tov. I think it's behind you? No, it's behind you.
Дайте
Oh, yeah.
мне.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I would like to give you
there's-
some
Oh,
of...
my.
There is
Yeah.
80s issue Sinatra for you.
It's for
To
you.
listen at home.
To listen
wow.
at home.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
75
Look at
issue
this.
Yep.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Dorsey.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Dorsey.
Mazel tov. Happy
And
birthday.
Thank you so much.
I know you love this guy. This is a 64 especially for
Let me
you.
tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have left.
Oh, we have a
in the-
flown zero, but
Okay.
keep it up. Keep it
Okay,
up.
okay. So Maynard Ferguson, my parents took me to Atlantic City, New Jersey, years ago, decades ago. There was a pier called Steel Pier, and it was destroyed in a storm, but then they rebuilt it, but they didn't build it all the way out into the ocean. Steel Pier had a huge ballroom where the big bands would travel to the ballrooms. And my parents took me to hear the Maynard Ferguson band probably
At
around
64.
this time, 64. That's when I was a senior in high school. So they took me before that. It was in the early 60s. And I remember looking up on that stage. I was right in the front, looking up, and there's Maynard Ferguson with his whole band, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just unbelievable.
Wow.
Maynard was an inspiration to me and probably every jazz trumpet player that's alive today and maybe isn't alive.
Well,
We
just
noted
keep,
that.
your inspiration.
Thank
keep,
you
the
so much.
Mazel tov,
Yeah.
the happy
Thank you
birthday.
so much.
Thank you so
Bless
much
you.
for coming.
I
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for coming.
viewers. Please, the check, the music. All right.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Shalom.
Goodbye.
Shalom. Bye-bye.